Let us just adjust the volume here.
Deliver education and training using this very powerful tool. Now, before we go any further, I kind of want to set the ground as to where I actually am geographically, so you can kind of get a sense of what you may or may not hear in the background. Ricardo, or somebody, can you verify that you see my computer image okay?
Yes.
Yes.
See? Excellent. Gracias. Okay, so I'm going to pull that over here right next to you to see it just a little bit. I'm going to zoom into this small town, Howell, Oklahoma. It is rural. It is on the Arkansas-Oklahoma border, and it is extraordinarily small. Now, why do I even bring all that up to start off with? I think it's really important to establish the fact that your expertise may come from a very diverse geography. Sometimes you may have folks from a major metropolitan area. Sometimes you may have researchers out in the field conducting research that need to come back into your institution. For me, I'm just about as in the field as it gets. Okay? My town has this many streets. This many of which actually have asphalt pavement on them. Okay? At the corners of those streets are this many stoplights. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, like I said, is to say that it doesn't matter what the geography is. I should still be able to enjoy the video experience. I'm standing in this red roof building right here. This green area outside my door is a softball line. This is a railroad track. It is about a half block from where I'm standing. So what that means is when the train comes through while we're together, it's going to sound like it's coming through the door immediately to my left. I'm sorry for that. There's apologizing right in front of me. Another thing that may happen is my wife's classroom is on the other side of this door, on the other side of the room here. And sometimes my office actually gets turned into a hallway of students. So I'm apologizing right up front for that process. Do you guys have any questions for me so far before I just kind of dive into this?
No questions. Look, go ahead.
Awfully quiet. Okay. All right. We're going to ask if I would join today to talk a little bit about how the classes I teach actually work. And I think that one of the that's most important in my world is that we can repurpose technologies for a variety of things. I use my same live interactive tool to create recordings of content that my students consume for a variety of reasons. At this point in my teaching career, all of my students are practicing teachers. And occasionally, even though we have things scheduled, they end up missing class. Sometimes of their own fault, sometimes not. I had a faculty in Southern California that I was working with just a couple of weeks ago, and one of the instructors had to miss the morning session because he was teaching his own class. So we just created recordings of teachable moments, and those became available to him as a part of this workflow on the fly. Now that means I don't have to do anything special, I don't have to do anything additional. The content that I create becomes available through the workflow piece. Sometimes though, and I think probably more powerfully, I create content that students consume before they come to class. So while we're live like this, it's not the time necessarily for me to just dump information on you. This is the time in class that we should be making an application. We should be having conversation. We should be working together, regardless of where you're going. So that paradigm, many educators are calling flipped learning or inverted learning. Just by a quick show of hands, anybody utilizing flipped or inverted learning as part of your training processes? Any hands all? No? Okay. It's one of those things that I think is really penetrating a lot of education environments, even in the corporate world, because people see the value of using this live time to make conversation together and really help people understand the information that has been used. The other thing I use reporting for is student assessment. Now, that means that my students are also creating recordings. It's not just me making recordings and then having them watch it. My students are contributing as a part of their their assessment into that world. Sometimes they will use their video unit that will run on their laptop or their iPad, will look at that. Sometimes they'll just use the built-in camera on their cell phone to record themselves applying the knowledge. Regardless of how they record it all goes into the workflow that provides seamless transparency for the students to access it after the fact. Let's scroll down here just a little bit. Let me hit play. That is the recording that we made 5 minutes ago. It's already online. It's already accessible. We're watching it now as part of our class. Now, why is that important? It's important because if I break my students into small groups to have a conversation, I would want them to be able to have access to the large group conversation that we have had. So the small group comes out of the large group, they get together, they may need to rewatch this video to understand what I'm asking them to apply. But then as a part of the small group interaction, they can get together between their sites and converse and make application around this. So my live class is not just me standing up here going blah, 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 right? It's our opportunity to get together to convene around the content. Questions from anyone for me?
No questions.
All right, so let me break the ice. I am 5'9.5". I weigh 260 pounds. There are no questions off limits. Okay.
We have a question, Lance.
I'm down on you. I hope you're still in the room somewhere. Give these folks a microphone if they have a question so I can hear it. Okay?
Can you hear me, Lance? There's a question here. Come on.
All right. So let's forge ahead then, and let's talk about there it is.
Lance.
Let's talk about how the students get together via video for conversation as a part of breakout sessions. They're going to use their iPad to be able to just call each other between the rooms and the space. Now, CISCO has a couple of great products that make that happen. One of them is called WebEx, and WebEx works with telepresence straight away. The other product that CISCO has that does a great job is the one that I'm going to show you. It's called Jabber, and it's actually running on my iPad. So this is my iPad in real time. Again, I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just using iOS 5 Airplane to show it to you. I'm going to bring up my Jabber, and there is Ricardo's IM for me. So you see that it's not only my video client, it's also my instant message client. All of those different things kind of roll into one. And when the students break into small groups, we want them to converse using this tool. I'm going to call in here. Boy, I better mute the mic, otherwise I'm going to get some weird feedback. Okay. Here's my talking head video coming at you wirelessly through my firewall, through my filter, okay, into this video call. Now the call over here I placed actually at 1 meg on the public internet. There's no calling circuit, there is 1 meg. This video call is at 256 kilobits per second. So I can do that even on 3G. Let me flip this around. My dad's standing over in the corner. Okay, he's kind of peeking in and watching the miles. Let's take this outside. As you can see, here's the softball diving across the way with the students practicing softball. And this is outside on an overcast, a little gray, still a warm day. It's sunny in southeast Oklahoma. This is the way this tool has to work, folks. I've got to be able to know that when I break people into small groups, they can see each other, they can hear each other, they can have a conversation, even at minimal bandwidths. I see that in.
Yes. Hi. For the just 10 minutes.
Can you hear the question?
Yes.
I'm hoping there's a microphone in there somewhere.
It is. Can you hear me now? Nope. Can you hear me?
I'm hoping Ricardo is here to give me the whole gotcha.
Well, this mic is on, but I don't know if you can hear me. Is it working? Can you hear me next?
¿Nos puedes escuchar? Can you hear us?
Not yet. Turn that mic on real quick, buddy. I don't quite hear you yet.
Hold on. Give us 1 second.
I see the shadow of your mouth.
Lance, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now? One,
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, I'm here waiting. I feel incumbent to me to way back, so.
No?
Very good.
Hello, Lance.
Yes, sir. I've got you.
Now you can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me pass the microphone to the person who has the question. Hold on.
Perfect. This makes me feel so much better.
Sorry about that delay.
No problem.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Good.
ma'am. I can hear you great. Thank you for asking.
My name is Angeles Dominguez. I'm from Monterrey, and I just have a comment and a question. It's been very impressive, the presentation that you have given us so far from technology, and especially the manage that you have reached. So I was just wondering if you could break it for me, like what I saw a couple of cameras on your ceiling, like 2 video cameras, plus the one that you have in front, the smart board. But I would like to break us down what exactly would be required to have, being able to have the communication and all that, being able to do with the class and the students and all that. Thanks.
Great question, Angela, and thank you for asking, because that is the way that I teach, right? It's all based on the conversation. So, and it's very minimal. When you say what is the minimum requirement, I brought the iPad a moment ago. Now, would I teach from behind an iPad? Would I personally be comfortable delivering a class from behind an iPad? I'll be honest, probably not. Probably the minimum requirement for me as a teacher based on my instruction would be the laptop. I can use the laptop, the built-in web camera to deliver some instruction. Now, the thing about me, Angela, is that I move around a lot, and I'm sorry. That's just my teaching style. So consequently, in my world, I have the one camera that you have seen me from this entire time, and I also have, as my first primary source of conversation, this electronic whiteboard. Now, people ask me all the time, do we have to have an electronic whiteboard to teach you video? No, you don't have to have an electronic whiteboard, but you do need to have something that gives you a visual for the students that are above sight. So when I tell somebody, I want you to go to this particular URL, and I want you to click on this link, that gives you okay, what's he talking about? Right, where your eyes are drawn back into it based on what I'm showing. That's just a pedagogy design. So you may use the iPad. I brought up the iPad a minute ago for you to see a visual. You may use the smartboard for that. I brought it up for part of the visual. I'm working with the State Department of Libraries here in Oklahoma, all across the state. And of course, my library media specialist friends love to use their books. And they want to be able to show the amazing imagery that's in those books. And again, I'm talking traditional print materials, things that are not digitized. So for some folks, it may be a physical device that they would like to show to someone. This particular device is just a piece of hardware from CISCO, and the whole reason I have it here is because sometimes I talk a little bit about how my smartboard works in this environment. But to have the visual of a non-digitized object analog means that I can do this. Guys, I'm going to talk about this particular area. And some of the recordings where I demonstrate things for my teachers, I'll do exactly what you just seen. I'll put the device in the document cameras so they can follow straight away along, and I will do these annotations on them. So, it's not required that you have a whole room of technology like you see around. I use all of my technologies for a variety of things based on the way I teach. And what I would say is this: you have been hired because you're an amazing instructor. You keep your job because you do an amazing job at it. Whatever you're doing, this technology should wrap around you as the instructor versus coming to you as the instructor saying, well, you do this really well, you do that really well, well, forget those because now you're going to have to do big. That's not valid. And my primary job responsibility, well, I like doing this with you guys today, my primary job responsibility is work with teachers who are using this day in and day out, and to try to help them incorporate it into their workflow. That was probably too much of an information answer for you. I'm sorry. That's part of being a teacher. Kids shut up sometimes.
Thanks.
You've been other questions.
No. Go ahead.
Not so far? Okay. So we've talked a lot about the different tools that I use in my environment to teach. We've talked about repurposing some tools, the interactive tool for recording. One of the things I think is really important in this environment is that we stop segregating asynchronous content, online classes as it were, from synchronous or live content. You either come to my class physically or you come to my class virtually, but they're two different worlds. That's not the case for me. When I'm teaching, it's really important that I use my learning management system even during my live environment time. So as I work with folks, the first thing I have them do is get out their smartphones, get out their iPads, get out their laptops, and log into the learning management system. Now, I'm not here to argue about Blackboard versus Desire to Learn versus Sakai. I'm a Moodle guy. Okay? And the reason I'm a Moodle guy is because it's the tool that I started using about, about 5 years ago, and I just really never stopped using it. Okay, so Moodle for me, M-O-O-D-L-E, is my learning management system. So Lance, how does all this stuff tie together? Let me scroll down just a little bit. We made a recording when we first started this conversation. It's now 10:46 a.m. my time here. We made that recording about 15 minutes ago. Here's the link to it. As I gave us a point, I'm using a lot of tools during the live environment, but this link, when did I update that? When did I push that link over there? I didn't. The technology is doing what the technology is supposed to do and creating these opportunities for me by publishing the content out. I don't have time as a faculty member to upload videos, to compress videos, to create different file formats of videos. I don't have time or desire. I need to do what I was hired to do, and that's teach. Okay? The technology needs to do what it's supposed to do and make the content available. Sometimes when I talk to teachers about this, they'll say, oh, Dr. Ford, look, I'm really concerned about full automation of my recordings. I don't want stuff just going out there. Can you edit before it's available for students? Well, absolutely you can. It doesn't have to be fully automated. And the one thing I tell them is, after you edit about 6 or 10 of them, you will be very glad that it's fully automated. I taught video production like this for 3 years of my life in Final Cut Pro. I know how to do post-production on video. That is something that's very time-consuming. And I would much prefer to have technology do it if my responsibility is to teach the class. So, it's making it available in a variety of places. Like I said, one of them is my learning management system. For 2 years, I actually taught a graduate course for the University of Maine, again, for teachers. And the interesting thing about the state of Maine is that they all have MacBooks. All teachers have MacBooks or iBooks. So they all have their own laptop issued by the State Department of Education. If I know they all have MacBooks, they're using iTunes. Why would I reinvent the wheel? Let's let them use their iTunes to subscribe to my content. So now the video we created a moment ago has actually been downloaded into my iTunes library, and here it is. Now, for some of my students, probably like some of your students, they don't have full internet access. They don't have the ability to stream content wherever they are. If you live in Southeast Oklahoma, you have 3G. Congratulations. You got that 2 months ago. Okay? So, I've got to be cognizant of providing on-demand experiences that are not directly tied to having that bandwidth everywhere you go. This is a great way to do it. Push it to the library on that computer, synchronize the device, send the device out the door. This provides flexibility in my model for delivery, especially the asynchronous video on Facebook. Now I've been rattling on here for about 5 minutes. Do you guys have some more questions for me or anybody?
No questions, Lance.
Okay, all right. So we've talked about repurposing tools to do other things. We've talked about taking the existing tools that you've already used and burying them in, whether it's the learning management system, whether it's an IT library, whether it's a smart board, whether it's not, whatever it is, let's marry these devices together so that folks who are leveraging them to teach in part of their daily existence can repurpose their knowledge. But let's take it one step further as we kind of dissect this, and we move into this world that is kind of where video is in our century. Now, for many years, we've been able to watch video on a PC. Congratulations, it's 1999, man. You can watch images and videos on your computer. We take that for granted. Where we are now is beyond a consumption model of video. We are now into a collaborative model of video. That collaboration needs to happen live, synchronously, and also on demand, asynchronously. I told you guys when we started this conversation, I'm not the only person creating videos in my workflow. My students are creating videos as a part of their learning and a part of their assessment. Why are they doing that? Because I want them to learn from each other as they go through the process. Now, one thing about learning something, we're all going to screw up. And I don't know if you're perfect. I'm not. Okay? Every time I learn a new skill, the first thing I do is screw up. When teachers are learning a new skill and when we're recording that for peer review, they don't want their screw-ups on YouTube. Okay? They want to rest assured that when they show themselves learning a new skill, that it's only going to be seen by the other people who are also learning that skill and reviewed authentically by them. That's why I use this portal. Okay? You see that the video is now playing. It's been bumper. There's a little bumper video. There's actually, it's hard to see the little watermark in the upper right hand corner. There's a lower third that has the title across the bottom and who spoke as part of the engagement. So now it's becoming more of a post-produced kind of experience, but it's embedded in the social media portal where the students go, hold on, Dr. Ford, I don't understand you here. Or, Bill, you did a great job in the first part of this, but that section is really rough. Or, Sue, this does not agree at all with my research. Now, when students are peer reviewing each other, and they're making comments like here, or that, or this, those comments don't mean anything about time contextualization. So instead, right here, 24 seconds into the video, that comment was made. When that comment is put in the timeline, a little white line starts to appear. Why are those white lines important? Because as an instructor, I want to know where the conversation is happening. I can take one look at a video that's being peer reviewed and know exactly where the hot buttons are talking about. I usually wait until they come back to class the next time to take one of these conversations and make it the starting point for my next live class. So no longer are my asynchronous videos a part of my online class. They're a part of my live class. No longer is my live experience just confined to the time that we're together. We have the ability to realize that tool and make it part of the asynchronous. That's how learning collides, guys, to create a blended learning environment. All is made possible because there's some amazing bandwidth on the back end that CISCO has technologies powered. And that process work with the teachers, tomorrow morning teachers in Norway, tomorrow night teachers in Australia. I've been privileged to at least talk with you guys today. This is my job, right? And I absolutely love it. Why do I love it probably most? Because I get to do it for where I want to live. The geography is irrelevant. I don't live in a big city because I choose not to live in a city. Do you have any final questions for me, Ricardo? I think I see people are needing to leave, and I know this is your break time. I don't want to go too far into it, but any questions at all?
We have a question here from us. Hold on.
Sure.
Yes, I would like to hear a little bit, if you could comment roughly on the results. What results have you gotten and what reactions have you seen in the students? Because sometimes students prefer a lot of, face-to-face class is preferred rather than, being talking to a computer and all that kind of stuff. If you could briefly comment on the results and the reactions you observe. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let's start with the research. The research suggests that there is no discernible learner outcome difference between what students who are sitting locally in that room with the instructor and remote students learn when this tool is used for a conversation rather than a dissertation or a presentation. So the forte of the tool we're on right now is exactly what you just did, and that is asking me the question. Otherwise, let's be honest with each other, it might have been just as effective for me to create a recording, send it to Ricardo, and you guys not even stick around for this, get it on, eat lunch early, and watch it if you want to. Right? So, the forte of the tool has got to be almost exploited for students to have the desired outcome that I'm about to share with you. Now, I realize part of my viewpoint is biased because I spent 40 years of my life in this chair as a PhD student from the University of Oklahoma, doing my PhD every other weekend for 4 years of my life. They allowed me to do the research actually as a part of our cohort going through the process together. And so I did a qualitative study on all of the students who were participating. I heard responses like one of the students saying, Lance, we had the opportunity to take classes both synchronously and asynchronously as part of our degree program. To this day, the quote online classes, I have no idea who the teacher even was. I certainly don't have any who else was in the class. I mean, I can form names and a discussion thread, but I didn't form relationships. The relationship I formed in the conversational classes of video have lasted beyond the scope of the course, and I have gone back to those people as independent research experts to help me further my own research. Now, it's not all roses here. There were some folks who felt like that some of the classes delivered in this manner were totally disconnected from them as a remote student. And those were the classes where the teachers talked at the students versus with the students. If we learn nothing else from our information age, we should learn this. We are all, teachers and students, bombarded with information on a day-in, day-out basis. If all I am as an instructor is one more source of information, if that's my only role, then I'm competing directly with Hulu, Xbox, Wii U, PSP, all of these other sources, Google, all these other sources of information where students can get it when they want it. My daughter's 14. She'll tell you, hey, I can pay attention to algebra class today. It's not a big deal. I'll just Google it tonight. Okay? That's sad. Because what needs to happen there in those 5 classes is the application of the knowledge rather than simply the information transfer. So what I've heard from students is where this tool is used to be a part of a live dialogue and discussion, they love it. Where it's a television show where it really doesn't matter that they're physically there or not because they're never engaged. If I can live with it, I can live without it, I'll just watch the recording. And that is really where this process is at this point. That was an excellent, excellent question. Anybody else?
No questions, Lance.
All right. Well, I will leave you with this. My contact information is LANFORD@cisco.com. When I say that's my contact information, I mean it's my email, it's my video address. If my video unit doesn't answer, it will even forward on to my cell phone. Okay? If I never hear from you and I never see you again, that's no longer my fault. Okay? This is me. So if I can help you in any way, shape, or form, don't hesitate to get a hold of me. And thank you so much for your
We
attentiveness.
have this question, Lance here.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Hello, Lance. This is Irene Adame. I have a question. I know maybe you know the ECHO 360, the solution.
Yes.
I asked you about comparatively what is the best attribute from your solution versus ECHO. Please.
Good question. So the Echo 360 solution is a very powerful solution, and you guys are well aware that its purpose is to record the classroom experience, to provide a, quote, lecture capture opportunity. For me, personally, and again, I'm not here to cast aspersions on any product, as a teacher, I want to learn a single skill set and repurpose it for a lot of things. Versus saying, I use this tool for this, 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 and getting overwhelmed with multimedia tools. I think one of the biggest differences for me personally is I use the same tool to record that I use to teach my classes, that I use for my virtual office hours, that I use to create content that goes into my learning management system. I use the one skill set over and over. And again, I'm not here to say that Echo 360 is a bad product, because I don't believe that. It's a great product at what it does. For me personally, I prefer to have a product that does multiple things for me and repurpose that skill set. And that's kind of why I brought that up as a part of the conversation. Great question.
Lance, there are people here that wants to know how many people is helping you there.
There are actually two people helping me. One of them is my brother, Harrison. He's over here inside. And the other person who's actually helping me is my dad. He's a heavy breather, so we leave his microphone turned on. He's got it over to the side as well. But other than that, there is nobody helping me. This whole process is just me and the way I teach class every day. There's nobody, no elves, no special tech support person off screen. It's just me.
And do you still have that professional studio next to your door?
I absolutely do, Ricardo. Would you like me to go over there real quick? Now, before I go, the reason I have this is because I taught video production in Final Cut Pro. So look at the things that are available in your institutions and how you can repurpose them. I will be right back. All right, so here we are, next door in my space, and we'll just slide straight away in. Now again, the reason I have this kind of environment is because I taught video production for 3 years of my life, and as a part of that process, I repurpose those tools to do different things. Sometimes I'm working with students and I want to transport them to the area that we're talking about. So as opposed to just talking about the break wall, right? I don't actually know this. So in my world, video can be a lot of different things. Some people look at this and they call it sequential. I'm here to tell you my things. 7 and 8 kids in this room 2 weeks ago driving this class. That's what you mean. So it's really a matter of, are you willing to, in some instances, get outside the comfort zone, look at what else is going on inside the institution, and repurpose those tools for learning in a variety of ways. None of this stuff is actually right.